are really detailed, so
Okay.
it's easy to follow the steps here. But let's go through it together. So the first thing you want to do is now, because I am currently on a Mac. Yeah, I am on a Mac, so I will not be able to show you on this my current system, but I would be able to walk you through. So you must have this SDK which you downloaded. It must have been downloaded onto your downloads folder. That is where you should find it in your downloads folder, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So you should go to that your downloads folder where you have this your Flutter Windows SDK for Flutter. So you want to copy it. So copy it from there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you copy it, you want to go to your. Do you have Drive C and Drive D? Do you have
Of
partitions
course.
for your hard drive?
Of course. Of course. Of course. I have already opened the
Okay.
Drive C, so I am here in the Drive C.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So now you want to create a folder. You can call the folder SRC. So in your Drive C. So call the
Okay.
folder SRC. Okay.
Done.
Okay. So the folder is called SRC. So now you can paste that Flutter SDK you copied inside your SRC folder.
Done.
Okay. All right. So now you want to extract it. So extract it in that your SRC folder. You have WinRAR, or you want to use the
I have
Windows?
I have
Yeah.
WinRAR.
Okay.
I'm
Awesome.
already extracting. I'm already extracting.
Okay. All right. Great. So once it is done, yes. Please let me know. So we move on from there. It shouldn't take long though. It's not a very
It's already on
large
50. It's
file.
already on 50%. Already on 50%.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's good. Okay. I can see that we have Kelechuku Peter in class today. Hello, Kelechuku Peter. Can you hear me? Hello, Kelechuku Peter. If you're speaking, your mic is muted. Okay, maybe you're having network issues. Um, okay. Okay, if you can hear me, you can also send a message. You can send a message via the channel. That's for
All done,
Kelechuku.
sir.
All right, it's all done. Okay, great. So now that it is done, now if you in that folder where you extracted your Flutter Windows SDK, yeah, you should have a folder with that name. That is the same Flutter Windows underscore 3.419. You should have a folder with that name. Okay, that is the folder that was extracted out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you want to click into it. Okay, so you want to click into it.
That's the Flutter folder.
Yes, click into that folder that you extracted.
I have.
Okay, okay, that's great. Now, if you've done that, then you should have a you should find a directory or folder called Flutter. Just Flutter. Is that what you have?
That's yes, I've clicked into that folder. The Flutter folder.
Okay, okay. Is it possible for you to are you able to share your screen so I see what you have? It's
Okay.
going to be easier to
So
share your screen. Yes.
let me do that. Let
Let me stop
me
sharing
share.
so you can do that.
Let me share my entire screen.
Okay, all right. You can go to your
Can you see my screen?
go to, yes, I can see your screen. So you can go to your file explorer.
So this is what I have. This is what I have.
Okay, open the SRC. Let me see.
This is the SRC. So I just created SRC and extracted all the files here.
Okay, all right. So can you go back? Can you go back? Let me see. Go Go back just one step. Okay, open the SRC folder again. Open the SRC folder again. Okay, all right, awesome. So I want you to copy everything you have here. Yeah, Control A. All right. Then create a new folder. Control C. So you Control A, Control C. No, inside here, actually.
I should create the folder
Yeah,
here.
inside
I should create the folder here. Here.
Yes, create a folder in here.
Okay.
All right, Call it Flutter.
And paste.
All right, yeah, paste what we copied then.
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. Are you there, sir? Are you there, sir?
Okay, Evans, it seems to be all done.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's done. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
Hello, Evans, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, right. So the next thing you want to do, you can go back to your Explorer. Okay, so you can see that the structure you have here right now is at the top. You have, if you tap on that at the top, if you tap there, all right, awesome. So you can see what you have. You have your C src/flutter. Okay, so now I want you to click into this bin folder. Yeah, click into that bin folder. Okay, click into that bin folder. Awesome. So go back to the path again and copy the path at the top. All right, so you can copy that now. Control C. Yeah, copy that, please.
I've done that, sir. I've done that.
Okay, so if you've copied that, now I want you to search. So search for. You can go to your in the bottom bar. That is the taskbar at the bottom.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Search for environment variables. Search for environment variables. Yes, edit. Yes, exactly that one. Edit system environment variables. All right, so click on environment variables. Yes. Okay. You already have path. So tap on path. Click on new. New. Yes. Okay. So it should not. Okay, you're not supposed to click on new. Press cancel, please. Tap on path again. Yes. Click on edit rather. Edit. Okay. Yeah, this is what you should get. So yeah. Tap on new. This way you should tap on new. So tap on new. All right. So paste what you copied earlier. Paste that. Yes. So this is the path to Flutter's binaries. The reason why you're doing this is so that you're able to run Flutter commands in your command prompts. So you can tap on OK at the bottom of this current window. Yeah, tap on OK. Just tap on OK, OK. Yeah, the other system. OK, exactly. All right. So now that you've done that, you can open your command prompt. Open your command prompt and type. All right. Type Flutter dash Flutter dash version. Flutter dash
Should I give
version.
should I give a space? Should I give a space before the double dash?
Flutter dash version. VERSION. There
Should
should
I
not be
give
a space
spaces?
after before the version. Yes. Okay. Press enter now. All right. So just wait for some seconds. Yeah. Let it set up. So once it is done setting up, then you should be able to create a Flutter app through the terminal or through your command prompt, just like we did yesterday.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Can you hear me now, sir? Can you hear me now, sir? Done, sir. Done, sir. Done, sir. Hello, sir. Can you hear me now, sir? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, all right. So since this is done, now you can run the commands to create a Flutter project. So just as we did yesterday. Okay, so yesterday we had to create a folder where we want to package all our Flutter projects in. We want to keep them organized in. So first you can, you're currently in your users, you're in a debug folder. Okay, debug X. Is that the name of your current user? I believe. Okay, right.
Yes,
so you
sir.
want to create a new directory. So make there mkdir. So make the mkdir. Then you can call it techedu-flutter-projects. Okay, techedu-flutter-projects. Okay, projects. There should be an S. Projects. Yes. Okay, press enter. All right, so now you can switch into that directory. So cd techedu-flutter-projects. Okay, awesome. So now you want to enter the commands to create a new Flutter project inside this your techedu Flutter projects folder. So the command is flutter space create space, then the name of the project or the app. The name we chose yesterday was profile_card. So profile_card. Yes, just Flutter projects for you. So you can press enter. All right, awesome.
Done, sir.
Right, great. So it is done. So now that it's done, you can go to Visual Studio Code. All right, so you can tap on, yeah, you can close that. You can close that. Okay, then you can tap on Open Folder. Okay, then find that project you created. All right, have you? Okay, it's opening. Okay. All right, you can set that you trust this auto. Okay, you can just dismiss that. All right, so great. So what you want to do is you want to run the project. So you can close this welcome page or welcome tab, then expand your lib folder. Okay, but before you are able to run this, you need to get the Flutter plugin. So for that, you should go to the extensions tab. Okay, you should go to the extensions tab at the left. Yes, at the left. Exactly. So then you want to search for Flutter. Okay, it seems like you already have those downloaded. Okay, great, great. You already have it downloaded. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now try to run it. Although first check that you have a device selected at the bottom. Okay, so you should switch that to Chrome. Yeah, switch to Chrome. Okay, David, you can also run your app. It's running already. Okay, okay. So we're almost done here, so we get started. All right, awesome. So this is great work. Yeah, well done. So you have it set up on your system at the moment, although you're currently previewing on your browser. So before we get started on working on the next application, we are going to ensure we set up your system so that you have an Android emulator on your system, so you are able to also preview it on an actual Android device, although one that is running on your system, which you would call an emulator. All right, so you can stop sharing now. So I share my screen so we continue with our work for today. Okay, I can see we have web MS. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Thank you, sir.
So I can. You're welcome. So I can see we have MSc and we have Christian Madumeye. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Hello, MSc and Christian. Can you hear me? If you're speaking, your mic is muted, so you can unmute your mic to speak. Hello, MSc and Christian. Okay, Christian said you can hear me. How about MSc? Okay, MSc, you can confirm if you're unable to speak. You can send a message to let me know if you have a laptop with you. If you have your laptop with you there. Same with MSc. Okay, let me assume MSc is having network challenges. Okay, it's fine. It's fine, Christian. Yeah, you can send messages to give us feedback. Okay, all right. So Christian, if you're with your laptop, we would try to do the setup for you tomorrow so that you're able to run and create the Flutter apps on your own system. So what you can do for now, I don't think you were in the class yesterday. So what you can do for now to also follow up with the class, you should visit this website, that pad. Let me share my screen so you can see what I am trying to show you. Okay. All right. So Christian, if you're able to see my screen, yeah, you should visit this website, dartpad.dev. So dartpad.dev. Dartpad.dev. So visit this website, and on this website, you will be able to create a Flutter project or a mobile app project, and you'll be able to follow up with us in the class, pending when we set up your system, which we will try to do in the next class, yeah, before we begin the work for that day. Okay, so visit this website, and when you're on this website, you can tap on samples or you can tap on create. Then when you tap on create, it should tap on this Flutter snippet. So tap on Flutter snippet, and then you should get something like this. Okay, so when you get this, you can just try to run it to ensure that everything is working fine. You should see a preview of the app, yeah, from this code. Okay, it should just say hello world. That's what you should get. Okay, so try to do that, and you should be able to follow up with us. Yes, awesome. So just like this, so you will be able to follow up with us in class, yeah, on using this DATPad for now. So in the next class, we will try to set up your own system. Okay. Okay, it's not running. You tried to run it earlier and it didn't run. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yes. It will run because we still have some things to fix. We've not completed the code rewriting. So yeah, it will run actually. The same thing would happen to, let me close this. The same thing would happen to David, sorry, to Evans. If Evans, when Evans removes all the code he has in his main.dat file, when he removes all that code and enters the code which we currently have, he would also not be able to run his app, because then there would be some errors which we are going to fix. All right, so now I am on a different system than I was yesterday. I was on a Windows system yesterday. So I'm currently on a Mac. Yeah, with this, you would also get to actually see and verify that truly when you write the same code or build the same app, you would be able to compile that same app or same code you write, and you would have it run on an iOS device and also run on an Android device. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to create a new Flutter project, but I'm not going to do that through the terminal or through the command prompt. You've been creating yours through the terminal or command prompt so far, but I want to show you another way to create your Flutter project, and that is doing it through Visual Studio Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code sometimes is actually faster, or if you prefer to use the terminal, you can always do that. So for this, I would go to View and then Command Palette. So Command Palette. Then when I'm here, you can see I have this Flutter New Project option. If that doesn't show up for you, which it may not, if you've not used that option before, so you would have to search for it. So you can just search for Flutter New, then you get this option. You can see we also have some other Flutter commands, but this is the one we want now to create a new project. So I will tap on that, and I want to create a new project. So you can see it's asking me if I want to create an application, an empty application, a module, a package, or a plugin. What I want is an application. Okay, but before I do this, I want to quickly go create the folder that application will be created in. That's the same folder which you all currently have. So for that, let me quickly open my Finder. So I create the folder. So I'll create that in here. So secondary Flutter projects is just like this. So now I can close this and then try to create an application. Okay, so these are some apps I have before, but I want to go to that would be inside of dev. And then, yes, so this is the folder where I want to create that project in. So I would just select it like this. Don't click into it. Just select it like this. Then you can select the folder. So I'll tap on that. All right, so it's going to create an application with the name I specify here. So after selecting the folder you want to create the Flutter project in, the next thing would be for you to specify the name. So I'll use that same name, which we are using, profile_card. If I press enter, all right, so that will create a Flutter project for me. You can see it is currently doing that. It is going to populate here with the files for the project. Just give it some seconds, and after that, we should have the files for this project populated here.
Sorry for cutting in, sir. Sorry for cutting in, sir.
Okay.
Evans speaking. We cannot see your screen. I don't know if you are
Yes.
sharing your screen, sir.
Okay, I'm currently sharing. Let me stop and then start it again.
Okay, sir.
So let me know when you can get. Let me start it again. Okay, can you see it now? I just restarted the sharing.
Now we can see it. Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So I went through the steps to create a Flutter app using or going through Visual Studio Code, not going through the terminal or the command prompts. Okay, but like I said, it's fine. They are just two ways of creating a Flutter project. Either you're going through your command prompts, which is the step you blend, or you are creating it through Visual Studio Code, just like I did now to create this one. So whichever step you are using, it's totally fine. You'll still get the same result. All right, so I have the profile card app, just as you do. So I'm going to go into the main.dat file, and this is where we were yesterday. Okay, let me zoom in here. All right, so yesterday we talked about how when you want to create your application, your Flutter mobile app, the very first thing you need to add here is the main function. So the main function, we're going to talk or go in depth as to what this main function is really about and what it does. But for now, let's just add it like this. So main, this is also how you should have it. And inside of this main function, inside of the curly brackets, here we also called, or we are using another function, which is called run app, like this. So run app. Okay, so this is what you also have. Then also the semicolon at the end, after the parentheses for run app. Okay, then we went down to another line, and we were about creating a widget. Okay, and the widget which we're trying to create is the widget which should show up when the app is displayed. So when the app comes up or is loaded on our device, what should we see? Okay, so that is what we're trying to create yesterday. Let me reduce the size of this. All right, so we are trying to create a widget still, and I said to create a widget, we use what? A class. Okay, we use a class to create a widget. So we call the widget my app. And I said this widget which we're trying to create, it needs to get some features or some functionality from Flutter for us to be able to create it. And for us to get those features or functionality for creating a widget of our own, we do that by extending this stateless widget, which is provided by Flutter. So stateless widget. So this stateless widget is provided by Flutter. Okay, but we haven't made that clear yet. We need to make it clear that we are getting this stateless widget from Flutter, which we want to use to create our own widget called my app. And for us to unlock this, because this stateless widget, it is defined or created somewhere inside of our Flutter's code or Flutter's libraries, we have to import it. So we say import at the top, and then we go package colon Flutter slash material.dat, like this. All right, so this is what we do. Now you can see when I add this import statement at the top, the error which we had here before is gone. There was a red squiggly line under the stateless widget earlier, but now it is gone. Okay, we still have that similar error on this my app, but we're going to fix that very soon. Okay, the reason why we're still getting this error for this my app is because we are not done setting up this widget yet. We've not written all the code we need to write to be able to get this widget done or complete. All right, so now we can go into the curly brackets. So go into the curly brackets, and inside of the curly brackets, what we need to add here is we want to create or define a function or a method. Basically, we want to specify what exactly would this widget contain. Okay, because remember, we're trying to create a widget that will be displayed when the app comes up. So when a user launches the app, what exactly would they see? That is what we're trying to create. So what we specify in here, instead of this our widget, instead of this curly brackets, what we're going to put in here is we are going to specify what exactly should be displayed. And for that, we have to create a function like this. So create a function. That function is going to have something called a return type, which is going to be called widget. So this is the return type of the function. So that is called widget. The spelling is with a capital letter W. So widget. Then the function is actually called build. So build like this. Then we will add the parentheses still. Okay. Then we'll add our curly brackets again. So this build method or function, which we're creating right now, it is inside of this build function that we are going to specify what exactly should be displayed when the application comes up. Now, this build method isn't also complete yet. We need to specify what is called a parameter. A parameter is just some extra data that gets passed into a function. Okay, but don't worry about those technical details for now. We're going to break all these things down and write so many function examples. We're also going to have some dedicated classes where we'll talk about functions, variables, and so many other Flutter and Dart concepts. So you can really learn them very well. So like I said, in the parentheses for this build function, we need to add something called a parameter. And that parameter also needs a type. So the type is build context. Okay. And we can call the parameter context like this. So context. So this is the parameter which this our build function needs. Okay. So now we can go into the curly brackets for this our build function. So that from in here, because what we are doing with this build function, we are trying to describe what should be shown for our widgets. That's what we're trying to do. So that is why you can see we also have a return type here of widgets, which means from inside of this our build function, we need to return, or we need to specify what the widgets that should be shown. Okay. So in here, we need to return something. So we're going to add a return statement like this, return, and then we would say return material app. So we want to return a material app. Okay. A material app is a special widget in Flutter. Okay. Every application you build actually is going to have a material app. Why? Because this material app is the widget that sets up all the base components that gives you all the necessary settings for your application. For example, when you want to do things like navigation, going from one screen to the next, when you want to do things like theming, that is adding colors to your application, when you want to do all of that, you do that using this material app. Okay, so that is why the material app is the widget we have to return as the main widget or the parent widget for our application. That is why we use it here as more like the first widget for this our app. So by returning material app like this widget is basically complete. This are my app widgets which we're trying to create. So it is basically complete for now. Okay, but there is still some work we are going to do. But like I said, my app widget is, let's say, 50% complete. But even with that 50% completion, we can use it. That's why you can see we don't have any errors here anymore. There are no red squiggly lines. We can ignore these blue lines for now. You can ignore this ones for now. Okay, so now that we have this my app widgets, we need to make use of it, because you don't just create the widgets, you have to use it. That is the whole essence why we had to create it. So how do we use it, or where do we use it? Now, just like I've been explaining, we want this my app widgets to be the widgets that would be shown when the app comes up. Okay, so when a user taps on our application icon and then Flutter tries to load the app, then we want this My App widget to be the widget that the user would see. So for that, we go back to this our run app function, and in here, in the parentheses, we specify this My App widget. Okay, so we'll go in there and then we type my, not me, My App. Okay, so My App like this. Okay, so this is how we basically say that when this app is run, when this app is started, we want to show this My App widgets as the first widgets that should be displayed for this application. So that is what we are saying here. Okay, that's what we're saying here. So now if I say this, I should be able to run the application now, because as you can see, there are no more errors here. So I should be able to run this. So now what I'll do, I already have my simulator selected, my iOS simulator, but you have Chrome selected. So if now you can add all this code, so add all this code or type all this code out, then when you've done that, you should be able to run the application. So I will run it now. Okay, so it is currently running. It is launching. It's launching and it's going to try to install this app in this my simulator. This is my iOS simulator. Okay, so whilst you're doing that, any questions from what we just talked about so far in terms of setting up this initial widgets, or these are My App widgets? Okay, I can see we have Osas praising in class. Hello, Osas. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, welcome to the mobile development class.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, did you have a system to use in following along, a laptop or a desktop computer?
I have a laptop.
Okay, all right, okay, that's great. All right, so if that is what you are on the call with, or if you have it turned on there, so you should visit this website. Yeah, so try to visit this website on your
Okay.
Chrome browser. On your Chrome
Yes.
browser. Okay, so visit this website, datapad.dev. So visit
Okay.
this datapad.dev website. Yeah, on this datapad.dev website, okay, if it has loaded for you, then you
Yes.
should, okay, let me actually just grab this code so that those who are typing will also be able to type it here. All right. So you should find a create button at the top here like this. Okay, you'll have a create button at the top here.
Okay.
So you can tap on that, tap on that create button and then choose this Flutter snippet. So if you choose Flutter snippets, then you will get this page or this editor just as I have it like this. Okay. All right.
Yes,
so
sir.
choose that Flutter snippet. Right. Then you should be able to paste in or type in this code, and then you should be able to run it. So when you run it, you can see what I currently have here. You would have just a blank string, just like I do here right now. What you should, the way you know it is working is you would see a debug, this debug label at the top right. Okay, you will find that there. Okay. Okay, so I hope everyone has been able to run the app. So when you run the app, then you can see what I have here at the moment is just a blank screen. Okay, have you been able to run yours, David? Okay, still launching. Okay, and you're using Chrome. Okay, awesome. So when you launch it or when you run the app, you would get a blank screen just like this. Okay, you can see that even on that part of dev, that is what I still have here. I have just a blank screen like this. Okay, so the reason why we have this blank screen is because we've not actually added any content to be shown for this our initial screen other than this material app. This material app, you could say, just gives you more like a blank slate for you to specify what you want. Okay, so you get a blank slate where you can write whatever you want, or in terms of Flutter, we would say you can specify whatever widgets you want to be shown. Okay, the way you build applications, the way you build mobile apps in Flutter, when you're writing Flutter code like this, is you tend to compose widgets together. Okay, this material app, for example, is one widget. Okay, this material app is one widget. Now, if you want to have another widget to be displayed, then you would use this material app to wrap that widget. Okay, that is how you basically place widgets inside of another, just so as to get them to be displayed. So you compose widgets together. For example, you can have a parent widget, then you can have a child widget. Then if you are going up the tree, you would have ancestor widgets. Okay, you can have a grandparent, a great grandparent. So you get to see all of that when we create this first application. So now in this material app, like I said, the reason why we use it as the very first widget in our app is because it provides the base setup or the base settings for your application. For example, if I go into the parentheses, okay, if I go into the parentheses, or if I go into the, if I go down like this and I press Control and space bar, then I would get to see the many properties that I can use to configure this my material app widgets. You can see there are so many. If I scroll down, there are so many properties I can use to configure this my material app widgets. Now, one property which is very important to us here in configuring this material app is the title. So this title property, you can see this title is a property of this material app widget, and it takes a so-called string. Okay, string just refers to some text. Okay, so that is what we specify or what we pass to this our title property. So we can add it in title, and then for the title, we can say profile card. Okay, so this is the title of this our application. So profile card. Now, where is this title going to be displayed? This title, you know how you usually minimize applications on your device, okay, on Android, for example, or even on iOS. So when you minimize an app, or when you minimize your app, this title that you specified here, it is this title that will be shown in that screen or in that task tray or app tray when you minimize your app. That is where this title will be shown. Okay, so don't expect to see it here or anywhere here. You would have to minimize your application to be able to see this title. So that is for this title. Now, after this title, we have another very important property in this material app, which is the home. Okay, we have this home property. Okay, we have this home property. Now, so this home property, you can see this home property expects us to pass a widget. Now, the widget which we pass to this home property is actually the widget that would replace this whole dark or black screen we have right now. So what we pass to this home property is what will be used to replace this dark screen or section of the app. So to the home property, what we usually pass is a scaffold. Now, a scaffold is another widget that is built into Flutter. Now, this scaffold is also a very important and popular widget whenever you're building a Flutter application. You would use it in every application you build. I can tell you that. Okay, why? Because this scaffold, it provides the needed layouts for your screens. So it allows you to lay things out on every screen you want to work on. That is why if you inspect the properties for the scaffold, you can see we have things like app bar, we have background color, we have body, we have bottom navigation bar, bottom sheets, drawer, if you want a drawer on that screen. When we use most of these features or these properties, you will actually get to see how they work and how they apply to the scaffold. Now, the very first one we are going to use is the app bar. But even before we use the app bar, I want to save it. Okay, I want to save the code I have so far. I have specified the scaffold for this home property. So I'm going to save it. So if I save it, let's see what we get. Awesome. So you can see now we don't have that black screen anymore. We now have a white screen like this. Okay. We now have a white screen like this. So that is what we have here now. So that is the scaffold being displayed here right now. And like I said, we can use this scaffold to have the layout for this our screen. This first screen, which is being displayed for application. So one of the properties I said we'll use for the scaffold is what is the app bar. So we'll use this app bar. Now, so this app bar, what do we pass? Well, it's also a widget, but it's just a special kind of widget, which is called a preferred size widget, but it's just a widget in the end. So for the app bar, what we pass is we just pass an app bar as well. So there's an app bar widget, an app bar widget like this. So let me format the code so you can see it better. Okay. So now if I say this, the app bar has actually been applied. It is there, but because I am on an iPhone, you are not able to see it. That is one. And also because the color of this app bar by default, it is kind of white. That is why you're not seeing it right now, but the app bar is actually showing there. So let me change the color of the app bar so you can see it clearly. So in there, in the app bar has a background color property. Okay, that's a background color property, which I can set to a color that Flutter provides. So Flutter has a lot of built-in colors, which you can use in your application. So to this background color property for the app bar, let's use the red color. So for that, we say colors. This is how you access the colors which Flutter provides. Colors.red, like this. So colors.red. Now, one very nice thing that VS Code will do for you, VS Code will even show you the actual icon or indicator for that color. So you know the exact color that you are going to get. Okay, and you can also even use this color editor or color palette to pick the exact red shade, the actual red shade that you want. So that is what you can do here. Okay, but we just want the default to red. So we can save this. Let me remove that. So if I save this now, awesome. So you can see we have that bar showing up now. It is red. Okay, so that is our app bar. Now, one other thing we can add to this our app bar is a title. So other than the background color, we can set a title. Now this title, as you can see, this title takes a widget. Okay, this title takes a widget. So to this title, the widget we're going to pass to this title is the text widget, because we want to show some text as the title for our app bar or in our app bar. So for that, we'll pass the text widget, and this text widget expects us to pass a string or some characters for our title. Here I would say profile card, like this. So if I save this, awesome. So you can see the profile card there. Now it is centered. It is centered here like this because I am on an iPhone. If you're on an Android device, then it will be placed at the left, at the top left here. So this is just iPhone specific. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, David, you have a question? Okay. Okay, with all small letters. Okay, like which one can you identify capital letters for? Okay, my app, okay. Stateless widgets. Material app. Scaffold app, okay, awesome. So now let's start with my app. Now this is my app, like we've talked about. It's a class, okay? And you create a class whenever you want to create a widget in Flutter, okay? So this is my app now. The convention or the way you create classes in Dart and by extension in Flutter is that you use capital letter for the first letter when you are spelling each name in that class. So, or let's say each word in the class. So each word starts with a capital letter. Okay. So if it's, assuming it was something like my app for this application, something like this, I'm just making this up. So you can see how I am starting the first word with a capital letter. So that's how you do it. Okay. So that is for this one. So that is how you basically name classes. That is how you specify the name for your classes. Now, this stateless widget, it's also a class. Okay, it's also a class that is called stateless widgets. That's why it was also spelled like that. So the first letter for each of them starts with the capital letter. That's for each of the words. Okay, so it is the same with this material app, this build context, this scaffold, this one, this scaffold, the app bar. So they are all classes that were created as widgets. Okay, so that is why we start them with a capital letter. And if it consists of more than one word, then each of those words in that name also have to start with a capital letter. So that is just the convention. Okay, then for all these ones, this title here, for example, this title is a property of material app. So for property names, you start property names with small letters. Okay, that's why I can see title is a small letter, home is small letter or small letters. Then app bar. Now app bar is a name for a property, but that name is made up of two words. So you would start it with a small letter, but subsequent words would now start with a capital letter. So that is how you name properties. Properties, their names. The names of properties start with small letters, but subsequent words in that name would use or start with capital letter. That's why you can see we have it like that as well for background color. Okay, so that is just the convention for how you name these things in Dart and in Flutter. Okay, and any other question before we continue? Okay. All right, David. Okay. Yes. Okay. Green. Okay. Okay. Properties. Okay. The purple. Okay. You should not really follow the colors like that. Yeah, that is just a Visual Studio Code thing. That is just a Visual Studio Code. And the reason why I have these colors like this is because of the actual theme I'm using right now for Visual Studio Code. So different themes. There are so many themes of Visual Studio Code. Let me show you some of them. If you go to your file, your extensions tab, and you search for, just search for theme. Yes, you can see there are so many themes. There is my material icon theme. There is this theme. There is one which I like so much. Something Ayuba Mirage. Let me see if I can find it. Ayuba Mirage theme. It's still there. Okay, yes, this Ayuba Mirage rather. So this Ayuba Mirage, there are so many other themes that are like that. So it depends on which theme you're using on Visual Studio Code. That is how it would highlight all this for you. Okay, so how you would be able to identify them is actually by the syntax. Okay, syntax is something we're going to talk about later when we are learning some of the concepts in the Dart language. Okay, for example, what you need to know here is that when I want to create a class, I start with the class keyword. After the class keyword, I specify the name of the class. Then if I want to extend a class, in the case where I'm creating a widget, then I add the extends keyword. Then I now add what? The name of the widget that I'm extending, that is stateless widgets. Okay, so class here is a keyword. Extends is also a keyword. Okay, so that is just why our VS Code and the team which I'm currently using tries to highlight some of those things for you. So you will not want to go with those colors all the time, because on your own system, you may have different colors based on the theme you're using. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay. From those online, MSC, Evans, Christian, Osas. Okay, it's just trying to say something. Your mic is not, you're muted your mic. Okay, all right. If there are no questions, so we can continue. All right, so let me bring up the app which we are trying to build so we can all see what we are aiming at. That's this. Okay, awesome. So this is the app we are trying to build. Yeah, so this is the app we're trying to build. Yeah, this one. Okay. So this is the profile card app we're trying to build. So for this, we've added the app bar, but our app bar isn't looking like the one we have here. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to our code. Let me actually bring this so I can easily switch to it. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to go back to our code. And now, instead of using this colors of red, I only added this color of red so you can get to see the app bar. Now I'm going to switch. I'm actually going to remove it because I don't need it. I want that white color. Awesome. So it looks like this. Then also, I want to position this my profile card at the left, because you can actually do that even though you are running on iOS. Okay, so even though you're running on iOS, you can actually do that. What we can do is we can go to the title for the text, or in the app bar. You can try to set the text align and set that to text align dot. Let's start like this. Now, setting the text align here would not necessarily move that for you because you're trying to align the text inside of itself. Okay, this profile card text right now is not taking up enough space. It's not taking up, I think someone's mic is not muted. I don't know if, hello, Sas, please, can you hear me? Okay, I don't think it can. Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so to actually be able to center this our title inside of the app bar, we have this. You can see we have this center title. So center title by default for iOS is set to true. So that is why it is always centered on iOS. But what we want to do is we want to change this to false. Okay, so it doesn't center it. Instead, it brings it to the left here. Okay, I can actually remove this. This is not what we are using for that. So I can actually remove that. Okay, so if I save this, okay, awesome. So you can see we have the the profile card now at the left. Okay, so now we can continue. And the next thing we want to add, we can try to add these icons, this left icon up there, and also add this one. So for that, if we go back to the app bar, maybe after the center title property and its value, what we can set a leading. So this app bar has a leading property. Now, whatever widget we set for this leading is what will be displayed at the front here. So before the title. So we can set leading, and then we can set that to an icon like this. So an icon. So an icon is a widget that is also built into Flutter. Okay, icon is also a widget. So to use the icon widget, after we enter icon like this, then we have to specify the data or the exact icon we want. So for that, we use the icons dot whichever icon we want. So I can use the arrow. There's an arrow back like this. So you can see that even writing in Visual Studio Code, I'm able to see the kind of icon which I would get. So it is giving me a preview. So if I save this, all right, awesome. So you can see we have that arrow there. Okay. Then the other one which I want to add after the leading, to be able to get this vertical dots at the right, still in the app bar, still in our app bar, we can use the actions. Now, these actions, this one allows us to specify more than one widget at a time, and still inside of the app bar. So this allows us to specify more than one widget at a time. So in here, we can specify another icon again. So icon, but this will now be icons dot, there is a more underscore vert, more vertical. So this one. So this is the icon we want. This icon is the same as the one that we have here. Okay. So if I save this, okay, awesome. So you can see that icon there. Okay. So just as we have it here. Now, one other thing I want us to do is, you can see that because we are on iOS, although this even now applies to Android as well, the app bar is very flat. Okay, it is flat on the screen. There is almost no difference between the app bar and the rest of the screen. That's this whole white area. So, but the one we have here, it is raised. It is raised from the surface of the screen. So what we can do is, we can go to the app bar still, and the app bar has an elevation property. So this elevation is how you specify, well, from the name, how you specify how much the app bar should be raised from the surface of the screen. So we can set this to maybe 5. We save this, all right, so you can see some sort of elevation on the app bar. It is now raised a bit. So if I set that to maybe 10, we'll have more elevation. Okay, so we have more elevation now. So we compare it to this, but we want the color to still be white. Yeah, I don't want this color I'm getting here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to bring back that to my background color for the app bar, and then set it to colors dot white. So if I save it, okay, awesome. So the color goes back to white. But what we can now see is that it's a bit raised from the surface of the screen. So this is what we want. Okay. All right. So now we can continue. After finishing the work on the app bar, yeah, I'm actually saying profile card, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it just says profile. So just as profile there. Okay, so I've changed mine to profile as well, just so it goes with what we have here. So the next thing we have to work on now is we need to work on this section. Now this section where we have this blue color, then we have an image, and we have all this text, title, the name of the person, their description, their job description, a little info about them. Then we have all this stats in terms of their followers on this current platform. Then we have this follow, send message, and all these buttons. Okay, so we want to work on this whole section. Now, okay, you have a question? Okay. Okay, yes, you get a chance to do that. Yeah, you get a chance to do that. You get a chance to do that. Okay, so for this now to get started in working on this, we need to first of all understand how you go about building widgets like this in Flutter, or how do we even go about building this? Because we've just created our app bar inside of this our scaffold, and now we want to add a section like this onto this our screen. That is this part of our screen. That is where we want to add this section. Okay, so how do we go about creating something like this? Now, when you are building your Flutter app, one thing you should always think about, always think of rows and columns. Or whenever you see a UI like this, okay, try to think about rows and columns. So how can you break down this UI into what rows and columns? Because in the end, almost every UI can be broken down or built using rows and columns. By that, I mean the content of the UI, it's usually arranged either in a row or in a column. And most of the times, you would even have it mixed. Okay? Taking this our UI, for example, you can see that the content is arranged from the top to the bottom, which means we have them all stacked or arranged vertically. First, we have this, we could call this a container. This blue section, we could call this a container. We have this image. This image comes just after the container, but you can see that it overlays. It is on top of that container. Okay, so we can say this image comes immediately after this container. Okay, then next we have this Alexander Sterling text, which comes after this image. We have this text, we have this, then we have this ones, and we have this. These are buttons. So we have these buttons, and then we have this links, which you can tap on to take you somewhere. Okay, so all these contents right now, they are arranged in a column. Now, a column arranges contents from top to bottom. But when we get to this section inside of the column, you can see this contents, it is arranged horizontally. So these ones now are arranged in a row. Okay, so you can see we have this row or this horizontal arrangement of this text or this content inside of a column. Then same with these buttons. These two buttons, they are arranged or they are laid out side by side, which means we have these two buttons arranged also in a row in this our column. Same with these three links. Okay, these three links, they are also arranged in a row. So that is how you can basically break down your UI into what? Into rows and columns. And it's really important you understand this, because when you want to eventually write the code, to get all of this content out, then you also need to arrange your widgets in rows and columns so that you can achieve a layout just like this. And you're going to see us do that very soon when we begin to work on this, starting with this top bar. That is this container at the top. Okay, all right. So you can take this down if you haven't done that already. So you can take time to type this all out. Try to ensure you add the commas. You can see we have these commas here, just so you don't get errors as you type it out. Okay, are you done?